Amelia Parker checked her reflection in the elevator mirror for the third time that morning, tugging at the collar of her blouse. The bruise on her neck was still visible, despite her best efforts with concealer and strategic hair placement. She cursed herself for the careless moment at the gym. The night before, when the resistance band had snapped back against her skin. Of all the times to have an accident, it had to be on a Monday when she had. Back-to-back meetings with Jackson Reed. The elevator doors opened to the 42nd floor of Reed Industries, and Amelia stepped into the pristine reception area. The morning light streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting geometric shadows across the marble floors. She had worked as Jackson's executive assistant for 18 months now, and every day still felt like walking into a cathedral of corporate power. Good start. I need to establish the setting, introduce Amelia, and show the mark. Let me continue building the tension as she encounters Jackson. I need to make sure I'm hitting around 1,400 words for this part. Morning, Amelia, her colleague Jennifer called from the reception desk. Mr. Reed is already in. He asked for you the moment you arrive. Amelia's stomach tightened. Jackson was always early, but he rarely summoned her first thing unless something urgent had come up. She dropped her bag at her desk and grabbed her tablet, making her way to his corner office. Through the glass walls, she could see him standing by the window, phone pressed to his ear, his other hand shoved deep in his pocket. Even from this distance, she could see the tension in his shoulders beneath his tailored navy suit. She knocked lightly and entered when he gestured without turning around. His office was a study in minimalist luxury with dark wood furniture, leather chairs, and abstract art that probably cost more than her annual salary. Amelia had been in this room hundreds of times, but today it felt different somehow, more intimate. "I'll call you back," Jackson said abruptly into the phone and ended the call. When he turned to face her, his gray eyes swept over her in that assessing way of his that always made her feel simultaneously scrutinized and seen. Those eyes lingered for a fraction of a second on her neck before moving to meet her gaze. "Good morning, Amelia. We need to go over the Morrison proposal before the 10 o'clock meeting," of course she replied, taking her usual seat across from his desk. "I've compiled all the revisions you requested," but Jackson didn't sit down. Instead, he moved closer, stopping just a foot away from her chair. Amelia could smell his cologne, something expensive and woodsy that she had come to associate with late nights at the office and conference rooms. "Your hair is different today," he observed, his voice carrying an edge she couldn't quite identify. "I just pulled it to one side," Amelia said, instinctively touching the waves that cascaded over her right shoulder. "Did you want to start with the financial projections or the timeline? What happened to your neck?" The question came sharp and direct, completely ignoring her attempt to redirect to business. Amelia's hand flew to the bruise before she could stop herself. "It's nothing. Just a minor accident. It doesn't look like nothing." Jackson's jaw was tight, and there was something burning in his eyes that she had never seen before. What kind of accident leaves a mark like that? "Mr. Reed, I really think we should focus on the Morrison proposal." She opened her tablet with slightly shaking fingers. "We only have 40 minutes before the meeting. Answer the question, Amelia." He pulled his chair around the desk and sat down directly in front of her, close enough that their knees almost touched. "How did you get that, Mark?" Her breath caught. In 18 months of working together, Jackson had never been this personal, this invasive. He was always professional to a fault, maintaining the perfect balance of friendly and distant. But right now, there was nothing distant about him. He leaned forward slightly, and Amelia found herself pressed back in her chair. "I don't see how that's relevant to our work," she managed to say, though her voice came out less steady than she intended. "Humor me." The words were soft but carried an unmistakable command. "Did someone hurt you?" The concern in his voice surprised her. "No, of course not. It was just a stupid accident at the gym. A resistance band snapped." She watched his expression carefully, seeing the way his shoulders dropped slightly with what looked like relief. "You're sure?" he pressed. "Because if someone put their hands on you, I need to know." Amelia's heart began to race, not from fear, but from the sudden realization of what was happening. Jackson Reed, the man who dated supermodels and socialites, who graced the covers of business magazines, who could have any woman he wanted, was acting jealous. The thought seemed impossible, and yet here he was, studying her with an intensity that made her skin tingle. "I'm sure," she said quietly. It was just me being clumsy with gym equipment. Jackson held her gaze for a long moment before finally nodding and standing up. He moved back to his side of the desk, putting professional distance between them once more. But when he looked at her again, something had shifted. The careful walls he always maintained had cracks in them. "Good," he said, his voice returning to its usual controlled tone. "That's good. Now, about the Morrison proposal." They worked through the documents for the next half hour, but Amelia couldn't concentrate. She kept catching Jackson's eyes drifting to her neck, his jaw tightening every time he noticed the mark. When she stood to leave for the meeting, he stopped her with a hand on her arm. The touch was brief, but electric. "Amelia," he said, and there was something vulnerable in his expression that made her chest ache. "If you ever need anything, if anyone ever makes you uncomfortable or threatens you in any way, you come to me. Understand?" "I understand, Mr. Reed, thank you." She meant to leave it at that, meant to walk away and maintain the professional boundaries they had always kept. But something reckless stirred inside her, some devil on her shoulder that wanted to test this new dynamic between them. "Though I have to say, your concern seems rather personal for an employer." His eyes darkened. "Maybe it is." The admission hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Amelia's pulse thundered in her ears. This was dangerous territory, crossing lines that could cost her everything. And yet she couldn't seem to step back. "I should go prepare the conference room," she said, though she made no move toward the door. "Amelia." Jackson moved closer again, and this time there was no pretense of professionalism. "I need to know. Is there someone in your life? Someone who would leave marks on your skin?" She could have answered simply, could have told him no, and ended this strange tension. Instead, she tilted her head slightly and said, "Would it matter if there was?" The muscle in his jaw jumped. "It would matter to me." "Why?" The question came out barely above a whisper. "Why would it matter to you, Mr. Reed?" For a moment she thought he might actually answer, might put into words whatever this was that crackled between them. But then his phone buzzed with a reminder about the meeting, and the spell broke. He stepped back, running a hand through his dark hair in a gesture of frustration. "The meeting," he said roughly. "We should go." Amelia nodded and walked to the door, acutely aware of his eyes on her with every step. Just before she left, she glanced back over her shoulder. Jackson was standing by his desk, watching her with an expression of such naked longing that it stole her breath. In that moment, Amelia made a decision. She wasn't going to explain away the mark just yet. Let him wonder. Let him imagine. Let him feel a fraction of what she had felt every time she watched him smile at beautiful women at company events or read about his dates in the society pages. If Jackson Reed wanted to know about the mark on her neck, he would have to admit why it mattered so much to him. And until he did, Amelia would let the mystery sit between them, a catalyst for whatever was about to unfold. The game had begun, and for the first time since she started working for him, Amelia Parker held all the cards. The week that followed was unlike anything Amelia had experienced in her professional life. Jackson found reasons to call her into his office at least 6 times a day, his eyes always finding that mark on her neck first, before addressing whatever business matter he claimed needed her attention. She caught him staring during meetings, noticed how his hands would clench when she laughed at something a colleague said, saw the way his entire body went rigid when anyone stood too close to her. On Wednesday morning, Ryan Foster started in the marketing department. He was handsome in an easy, approachable way, with sandy hair and warm brown eyes that crinkled when he smiled. Within hours of arriving, he had found his way to Amelia's desk with questions about office procedures that he could have easily asked human resources. "So this is where the magic happens," Ryan said, leaning against her desk with a friendly grin. "Jennifer told me you're the person who really runs this place." Amelia smiled politely. "Jennifer exaggerates. I just help keep Mr. Reed organized. Still, I'd love to pick your brain about the company culture here. Maybe over coffee sometime?" Ryan's interest was clear and uncomplicated. The kind of straightforward attention that would have flattered her under normal circumstances. Perhaps during lunch in the cafeteria, Amelia offered diplomatically, "I'm usually pretty busy with coffee breaks." From across the open office space, she could feel Jackson's gaze burning into them. When she glanced toward his office, he was standing at his window, phone in hand but clearly not using it. Watching their interaction with an expression that could freeze water, Ryan followed her gaze and straightened slightly. "Is Mr. Reed always so intense?" "That's just his working face," Amelia said, though her heart was racing. "You'll get used to it." After Ryan left, Amelia's phone buzzed with an internal message from Jackson. "My office. Now." She found him pacing behind his desk like a caged animal. Who was that? He demanded the moment she closed the door. Ryan Foster, the new marketing director? He had some questions about office procedures. He seemed very interested in those procedures. Jackson's voice was tight, with barely controlled emotion. "Leaning on your desk, making you smile like that." He was being friendly. "That's what people do when they're new." Amelia crossed her arms, feeling a surge of satisfaction at his obvious jealousy. "Is there actual work you needed to discuss? Or did you call me in here to question my interactions with colleagues?" Jackson stopped pacing and turned to face her fully. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching me lose my mind over you?" The admission was so raw, so honest, that Amelia felt her defensive posture soften. "Jackson, I don't know what you want from me. You're my boss. We've worked together for 18 months. We've never shown any sign that you saw me as anything other than your assistant. Now suddenly you're acting like you have some claim on me." "I know I don't have a claim," he said, moving around the desk toward her. "I know I have no right to feel this way. But that doesn't change the fact that I do. Seeing that mark on your neck made me realize something I've been denying for months. I can't stand the thought of someone else touching you, kissing you, making you smile the way you smile." Amelia's breath caught in her throat. "What exactly have you been denying?" Before Jackson could answer, his office door opened, and Vanessa Brooks swept in without knocking. She was stunning in a crimson dress that hugged every curve, her dark hair falling in perfect waves, her smile calculated and predatory. "Jackson, darling," Vanessa purred, completely ignoring Amelia's presence. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." "Actually, Vanessa, we were in the middle of something," Jackson said. But Vanessa was already moving to kiss both his cheeks in that affected way wealthy people did. "I was just in the neighborhood and thought we could discuss the merger over lunch. You know how much better business goes when mixed with pleasure?" Vanessa's hand lingered on Jackson's arm, a red nail stark against his dark suit. Amelia felt something ugly twist in her chest. This was what jealousy felt like from the other side, and she hated it. Vanessa Brooks was everything Amelia wasn't. Polished, sophisticated, from Jackson's world of country clubs and charity galas. They looked right together in a way that made Amelia feel small and insignificant. "I have meetings all afternoon," Jackson said, gently removing Vanessa's hand from his arm. "Perhaps another time." "Oh, don't be boring, Jackson. Surely your assistant can reschedule a few meetings." Vanessa finally looked at Amelia, her gaze dismissive. "You can do that, can't you, dear?" "Mr. Reed's schedule is quite full today," Amelia said coolly, proud that her voice didn't shake. "But I can check next week's availability if you'd like to set up a proper appointment." Vanessa's smile sharpened. How efficient. "Jackson, you've trained her well, Vanessa." Jackson's voice held a warning note. "Amelia is my executive assistant, not a pet. I'd appreciate if you showed her the respect she deserves." For a moment, Vanessa looked genuinely surprised. Then she laughed, a tinkling sound that grated on Amelia's nerves. "Of course, my apologies. I'll call your secretary to schedule that lunch." She air-kissed Jackson's cheeks again. "Don't work too hard, darling." After Vanessa left, silence filled the office. Amelia turned to go, but Jackson caught her wrist. "Wait, don't leave like this." "Like what?" She couldn't keep the hurt from her voice. "I have work to do, Mr. Reed, and apparently meetings to reschedule for your lunch dates." "I'm not having lunch with her," Jackson said urgently. "I'm not interested in Vanessa Brooks. You don't owe me any explanations? I'm just your assistant, remember?" Amelia pulled her wrist free. "The one you've trained well." "Amelia, that's not what I think of you, and you know it." Jackson ran his hands through his hair in frustration. "I defended you to her, didn't I?" "Yes, you did. Thank you for that professional courtesy." She knew she was being unfair. knew she was lashing out because seeing Vanessa touch him had made her ache in ways she didn't want to examine. But she couldn't seem to stop herself. "This isn't about professional courtesy," Jackson said, his voice dropping low. "This is about the fact that watching Ryan Foster flirt with you made me want to fire him on the spot. This is about how I can't sleep because I keep thinking about who might have put that mark on your neck. This is about how I've spent 18 months pretending I don't notice everything about you, and I can't pretend anymore." Amelia stared at him, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I'm falling for you, Amelia Parker. Actually, I think I've already fallen. I'm saying that I know it's inappropriate and complicated and probably a terrible idea, but I can't help it. I'm saying that if there's any chance you feel even a fraction of what I feel, I need to know." The words hung between them, a confession that changed everything. Amelia thought about all the times she had admired him from afar, convinced he would never see her as anything more than competent help. She thought about the flutter in her stomach every time he smiled at her, the way she found excuses to stay late when he was working, the jealousy that had consumed her watching Vanessa touch him. "There's no one," she said quietly. "The mark was really just an accident. I let you think otherwise because I wanted to see if you cared, if there was any possibility that you saw me as more than just your assistant." Jackson's eyes widened. "You mean all week I've been torturing myself over nothing?" "Not nothing. You've been torturing yourself over your own feelings." Amelia stepped closer to him. "And for what it's worth, I've been falling too. Every time you smile at something I say, every time you remember how I take my coffee, every time you defend me or trust me with something important, I've been falling and terrified because you're Jackson Reed, and I'm just the girl who manages your calendar." "You are so much more than that," Jackson said fiercely. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and cupped her face in his hands. "You're brilliant and funny and the best part of every single day. When I wake up, the first thing I think about is seeing you. When I go to bed, you're my last thought. You're not just anything, Amelia. You're everything." "Jackson," she breathed, and then his lips were on hers. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, as if he was afraid she might disappear. But when Amelia melted into him, when her hands found their way into his hair, the kiss deepened. It was everything she had imagined, and nothing like she expected, both overwhelming and perfectly right. Jackson kissed her like she was precious, like he had been waiting for this moment as long as she had. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jackson rested his forehead against hers. "I've wanted to do that for so long." "Me too," Amelia admitted, her fingers still tangled in his hair. "But we need to talk about what this means. The company policies, the power dynamic, what people will say." "I know, and we'll figure all of that out." Jackson kissed her forehead, then her nose, then her lips again softly. "But right now, I just need you to know that this is real for me. You're real for me. Whatever complications come, we'll handle them together." Amelia nodded, believing him despite all the logical reasons she shouldn't. Together, she agreed. They stood there holding each other, both knowing that everything had changed and neither of them wanting to let go. Outside the office, the business world kept spinning. Deadlines loomed and complications waited. But in that moment, wrapped in Jackson's arms with his heart beating against hers, Amelia felt something she hadn't let herself feel in a very long time. She felt hope. The next morning, Amelia woke up with Jackson's arm draped across her waist, his breathing slow and steady against her neck. They had talked until 3 in the morning, mapping out how they would navigate their relationship, setting boundaries for work, making promises about honesty and communication. Then they had stopped talking entirely, and Amelia had discovered that Jackson was as thorough and attentive in private as he was in business. Now, in the soft morning light filtering through his bedroom windows, reality began to creep in. She had slept with her boss. She had crossed every professional line she had sworn to maintain, and the terrifying part was that she didn't regret a single second of it. "I can hear you thinking," Jackson murmured against her shoulder, his lips brushing her skin. "What's going on in that brilliant mind?" "Just wondering how we're going to do this," Amelia admitted, turning to face him. His hair was charmingly disheveled, his eyes still soft with sleep, and she had to resist the urge to kiss him senseless. At the office, how do we act? What do we tell people? Jackson propped himself up on one elbow, his expression serious. We tell them the truth, eventually. But first I need to talk to HR and legal, make sure we're doing everything by the book. I won't let this affect your career, Amelia. If anyone has a problem with us, they'll have to go through me. That's exactly what I'm worried about, she said. People will think I slept my way to any promotion or opportunity. They'll question every decision you make regarding me, though you prove them wrong. Jackson traced her jawline with his thumb. Your work speaks for itself. You're the best assistant I've ever had. And that has nothing to do with how I feel about you personally. They reluctantly got ready for work, Jackson lending her a shirt since she hadn't planned to stay the night. Walking into the office separately felt like a lie, but they both agreed it was necessary until they had talked to HR. Amelia arrived first, settling into her normal routine, though nothing felt normal anymore. Everything had shifted, colored by the memory of Jackson's hands on her skin. His whispered confessions in the dark. Ryan appeared at her desk just after 9, holding 2 cups of coffee. Peace offering, he said with his easy smile. I think I came on a bit strong yesterday. Let's start over as friends and colleagues. That sounds perfect, Amelia said, genuinely relieved. Thank you for understanding, of course. Though I have to say, you seem different today. Good, different. Something happen? Ryan's eyes were kind, not prying. Before Amelia could answer, Jackson emerged from the elevator, his eyes immediately finding her. For a split second, his professional mask slipped, and she saw everything he felt, written clearly on his face. Desire, possessiveness, and something deeper that made her heart race. Then the mask snapped back into place, and he was CEO Jackson Reed again, cool and controlled. Good morning, Amelia. Ryan. Jackson nodded at them both. Amelia, I need to see you in my office when you have a moment. Of course, Mr. Reed, I'll be right there. After Ryan left, Amelia gathered her tablet and made her way to Jackson's office. The moment the door closed behind her, he pulled her into his arms, kissing her with a hunger that suggested the separation of a few hours had been too long. I missed you, he murmured against her lips. Is that insane? It's been 40 minutes. Completely insane, Amelia agreed, kissing him back. I missed you too. A knock at the door made them spring apart. Jennifer from reception peeked in. Mr. Reed, Vanessa Brooks is here. She says she doesn't have an appointment, but insists you'll want to see her. Jackson's jaw tightened. Tell her I'm busy, I tried. She's quite persistent. Jennifer looked apologetic. It's fine, Amelia said quietly. I'll go. We can continue this discussion later. But as she turned to leave, Jackson caught her hand. In front of Jennifer, in full view of anyone who might pass by his glass office walls, he lifted her hand to his lips and kissed her knuckles. Tonight, dinner at my place. 7 o'clock. Amelia's eyes widened at the public display, but she nodded, her cheeks flushing. Jennifer's eyes went round as quarters, and Amelia knew that by lunchtime, everyone in the office would know something was happening between her and Jackson. Sure enough, by noon the whispers had started. Amelia felt eyes on her wherever she went, heard conversations stop when she approached. Some looks were curious, others envious, a few openly hostile. She kept her head high and focused on her work. But it was harder than she had anticipated. Vanessa cornered her in the ladies' room that afternoon. So the rumors are true, she said, reapplying her lipstick in the mirror. You've managed to snare Jackson Reed? Impressive, really? I didn't think he went for the wholesome, girl-next-door type. I'm not trying to snare anyone, Amelia said evenly, washing her hands. And whatever is or isn't happening between Mr. Reed and me is private. Private. Vanessa laughed. Darling, nothing is private when you're involved with someone like Jackson. You'll be photographed, scrutinized, compared to every woman he's ever dated. Can you handle that? The society pages, the charity events, the business dinners, where everyone will be judging whether you belong. The words hit closer to Amelia's fears than she wanted to admit. I appreciate your concern, but I can take care of myself. Can you? Vanessa turned to face her fully. Jackson and I have known each other since we were children. Our families vacation together. We understand each other's world. What do you have to offer him besides being available and convenient? Amelia felt anger flare hot in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. If you'll excuse me, I have work to do. She left the restroom with as much dignity as she could muster, but Vanessa's words echoed in her head. What did she have to offer someone like Jackson Reed? She was smart and competent at her job, but there were thousands of smart, competent women in the city. What made her special enough to hold the interest of a man who could have anyone? That evening, Amelia almost canceled dinner. She stood outside Jackson's building for 10 minutes, her phone in her hand, crafting and deleting text messages. But then she remembered the way he looked at her, vulnerability in his voice when he said he was falling for her, the gentleness of his touch. Jackson wasn't the untouchable CEO when they were alone. He was just a man who made her laugh, who listened when she talked, who made her feel seen in a way no one else ever had. She went upstairs. Jackson answered the door in jeans and a casual sweater, looking younger and more relaxed than she had ever seen him. You came, he said, and she heard relief in his voice. I was worried you might change your mind. I almost did, Amelia admitted, stepping inside. Vanessa found me today. She made some good points about how different our worlds are. Jackson's expression darkened. What did she say to you? Amelia repeated the conversation, watching his face grow stormier with each sentence. When she finished, he pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her tightly. Listen to me, he said fiercely. Vanessa Brooks doesn't know anything about what we have. Yes, she and I grew up in the same social circle. Yes, our families know each other. And every single minute I spent in that world felt like playing a role. With you, I get to be real. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You call me out when I'm being unreasonable. You see me, Amelia, not just the CEO or the trust fund or the family name. That's what you offer me. That's everything. Tears pricked at Amelia's eyes. The office is talking. People are saying I slept my way to job security, that you're having a midlife crisis, that I'm using you. You care what they think? Jackson asked gently. I care about you, Amelia said. I care about your reputation. I don't want to be the scandal that damages everything you've built. Could never be a scandal. You're the best thing that's happened to me in years. Jackson cupped her face in his hands. I talked to HR and legal today. Technically, there's no policy against us dating as long as we disclose the relationship, and I'm not directly responsible for your performance reviews or salary decisions. We can do this right, Amelia. We can be together without compromising either of our careers. And when people whisper, when clients question your judgment, when Vanessa and people like her try to make me feel like I don't belong in your world, then we prove them wrong. Together. Jackson kissed her forehead. I'm not going to lie and say it will be easy. There will be challenges. But I'm willing to face all of them if you are. The question is, do you want this? Do you want me? Complications and all? Amelia looked into his eyes and saw her future. She saw late nights working on proposals, business dinners where she would have to smile through whispers, society events where she would feel out of place. But she also saw lazy Sunday mornings in bed. Jackson's smile when she made him laugh, the way he held her like she was precious. The partnership they could build both professionally and personally. I want you, she said simply. All of it. Even the complicated parts. Jackson's smile was brilliant. Good, because I'm not letting you go. Not for office gossip. Not for Vanessa Brooks. Not for anyone. He kissed her then, deep and claiming, and Amelia felt all her doubts fade away. They would face whatever came together. That was enough. Over the following weeks, they navigated their new reality. Jackson officially disclosed their relationship to HR. Amelia was reassigned a different supervisor for performance. Reviews to avoid any appearance of favoritism. Some colleagues were supportive, others clearly resentful, but Amelia kept her head down and let her work speak for itself. Ryan became a genuine friend, often covering for them when they needed a moment alone. I had a feeling something was brewing between you two, he admitted one day. The way he looked at you during that first conversation we had, I knew I didn't stand a chance." Vanessa eventually backed off after Jackson made it clear in a business meeting that Kalia was not only his girlfriend, but also a valued member of his team whose insights he trusted implicitly. The public support meant more to Amelia than any private declaration could have. 3 months after that first kiss in his office, Jackson took Amelia to a charity gala. It was her first major public appearance at his side, and she was terrified. But when they walked in together, his hand warm and solid at the small of her back, she realized something important. She didn't need to be from his world to belong at his side. She just needed to be herself. "You're stunning," Jackson whispered as they posed for photographs. "And you're mine. I'm the luckiest man in this room." "I love you," Amelia said, the words spilling out before she could stop them. It was the first time either of them had said it. For a moment she panicked. But Jackson's smile could have lit up the entire city. "I love you too. I have for a while now. I was just waiting for the right moment to tell you." In front of 300 people and a dozen cameras, Amelia laughed. "Why not? Let everyone know. I'm in love with Amelia Parker, and I don't care who knows it." And as they danced together under the glittering chandeliers, surrounded by the same society that Vanessa had claimed Amelia didn't belong to, she realized that she had found exactly where she belonged. Not in this ballroom or this social circle, but in Jackson's arms, in his heart. In the life they were building together, the mark on her neck had faded weeks ago, but the impact it had made remained. It had been the catalyst that pushed them, both to admit what they felt, to take a risk on something real, and as Jackson spun her across the dance floor, whispering promises of forever in her ear, Amelia silently thanked that resistance band for snapping. Sometimes the best things in life started with a simple accident and a man jealous enough to demand the truth. They had their truth now. They had each other. That was more than enough. It was everything. Thank you for taking Theo time to listen to this story. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to click like, share this story with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more meaningful stories. Emma Collins pressed herself against the elevator wall as 3 executives in designer suits filled the small space with their loud conversation. They talked around her, through her, as if she were simply part of the metal interior. She had become an expert at this over the past 8 years. Invisibility was an art she had perfected down to the smallest detail. Her reflection in the polished elevator doors showed exactly what she intended. A shapeless gray cardigan hung past her hips, concealing any hint of her figure beneath ill-fitting brown slacks. Her honey blonde hair was pulled back so tightly it gave her a perpetual headache, twisted into a bun that added 10 years to her appearance. The thick-rimmed glasses she wore were purely cosmetic, but they completed the look of someone utterly forgettable. At 32 years old, Emma had transformed herself into a woman nobody would look at twice. The elevator dinged at the 14th floor, and Emma squeezed past the executives without a word. Mitchell Marketing Solutions occupied 3 floors of the downtown Seattle tower, and Emma had claimed the most isolated cubicle 8 years ago when she first started. Tucked away near the copy room, partially hidden by a massive filing cabinet, her workspace was perfect for someone who wanted to disappear. She settled into her chair and booted up her computer. Pulling out the campaign analysis she had been working on, numbers and data filled her screen, and Emma felt the familiar calm that came with her work. Marketing strategy was a puzzle she could solve, a challenge that demanded creativity and precision. Here in the world of demographics and consumer behavior, she was brilliant. Nobody knew it, and that was exactly how she wanted it. 8 years ago, Emma had been someone else entirely. She had worked at a prestigious advertising firm in New York, wore clothes that fit, styled her hair, and smiled freely. She had been engaged to Trevor Ashford, whose family owned a media empire worth billions. They had been the couple everyone envied, photographed at charity events. Their engagement announcement in major publications. Then came the business dinner where Trevor's partner, a man named Richard, had cornered Emma in the coat room. She had rejected his advances clearly and firmly. 2 days later, fabricated photos appeared online, showing Emma in compromising situations with Richard. The images were expertly manipulated, but in the court of public opinion, evidence did not matter. Trevor had believed the lies immediately. His family had unleashed their lawyers, and Emma had lost everything. Her job, her reputation, her family's respect, all of it destroyed within a week. So Emma had fled to Seattle, changed her last name, and rebuilt her life as someone completely unremarkable. She took a junior position despite her master's degree from Columbia. She dressed to repel attention. She spoke only when necessary. And for 8 years it had worked. She was safe in her invisibility. The office buzzed with unusual energy that morning. Emma had heard the rumors like everyone else. The company was being acquired by Ryan Mitchell, a self-made billionaire who had built a tech empire from nothing. Mitchell Enterprises owned everything from software companies to luxury hotels, and now he was expanding into marketing. The acquisition had closed yesterday, and today would be his first day as the new owner. Emma tried to focus on her work, but the tension in the office was impossible to ignore. People gathered in clusters, speculating about layoffs and restructuring. Jessica Park, a marketing associate with perfectly styled hair and designer heels, stopped by Emma's cubicle with her usual sneer. "I suppose even you might be worried today." "Emma," Jessica said, looking down at Emma's outdated computer. "Though honestly, I doubt the new owner will even notice you exist." Emma kept her eyes on her screen. "That would be fine with me." Jessica laughed, a sharp sound. "At least you know your place. Some of us actually have careers to worry about." After Jessica left, Linda from reception appeared with a sympathetic smile. Linda was one of the few people who treated Emma like a human being. "Don't listen to her," Linda said quietly. "Your campaign analysis saved the Peterson account last quarter. Mr. Harrison told me himself." Emma managed a small smile. "Thank you, Linda." "All staff meeting in 10 minutes, Linda added. "The new owner wants to address everyone." Emma's stomach tightened, but she nodded. Company meetings meant sitting in the back, taking notes nobody would read, and waiting for it to end. She gathered her notepad and made her way to the large conference room, claiming her usual spot in the far corner behind a tall analyst named Greg. The room filled quickly with the company's 200 employees. The energy was a mix of nervous excitement and dread. Everyone had heard stories about Ryan Mitchell. He was known for being brilliant, demanding, and surprisingly hands-on for someone worth over $5 billion. Unlike most billionaires, he had started with nothing. Building his first software company in a garage at 23, the double doors opened and the room fell silent. Ryan Mitchell walked in with a presence that seemed to fill the entire space. He was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair showing distinguished gray at the temples. He wore a charcoal suit that was clearly expensive, but not flashy. What struck Emma most were his eyes, a striking blue-gray that seemed to take in everything at once. "Good morning," Ryan said, his voice carrying easily without being loud. "I'm Ryan Mitchell. As of yesterday, I own this company." He paused, letting that sink in. "I'm not here to destroy what you've built. I'm here because I see potential that's been underutilized. This company has talented people doing good work, but I believe we can do better." Emma found herself listening intently despite her usual policy of tuning out corporate speeches.
"Oh."
"Over the next month, I'll be meeting with every department and every team," Ryan continued. "I want to understand how you work, what obstacles you face, and what ideas you have. I believe the best insights come from the people doing the actual work, not from consultants or executives who have never been in the trenches." His eyes scanned the room, and for a brief, heart-stopping moment, Emma felt his gaze land on her. She quickly looked down at her notepad, her pulse racing. "I'm looking for people who care about excellence," Ryan said. "People who take pride in their work, regardless of whether anyone notices. Those are the people I want to build this company's future with." The meeting continued with details about transition plans and upcoming changes, but Emma barely heard any of it. She was too focused on controlling her breathing, on maintaining her carefully constructed invisibility. When the meeting finally ended, she hurried back to her cubicle, grateful to escape the crowd. She had just settled back into her work when her desk phone rang. Emma stared at it for 3 rings before answering. "Emma Collins," she said quietly. "Miss Collins, this is Rachel from Mr. Mitchell's office. He'd like to see you at 3 o'clock today. Conference room C." Emma's hand tightened on the phone. I think there might be a mistake. I'm just a marketing coordinator. No mistake. 3 o'clock, conference room C. The line clicked off. Emma sat frozen, her mind racing. Why would the new owner want to meet with her specifically? She was nobody, deliberately nobody. This had to be an error, or worse. Somehow Trevor had found her and was causing trouble again. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of anxiety. Emma tried to work, but her hands trembled every time she thought about the meeting. At 2:45, she forced herself to stand, smoothed her shapeless cardigan, and made her way to conference room C. She knocked softly on the door. "Come in," Ryan's voice called. Emma pushed open the door and stepped inside. The conference room had been transformed from the standard corporate space into something more comfortable. The harsh fluorescent lights had been replaced with warmer lighting, and instead of a long table, there were 2 chairs positioned near the window overlooking the city. Ryan stood as she entered, and Emma noticed he had removed his jacket and rolled up his sleeves. It made him seem more approachable, though his presence was still commanding. "Miss Collins, thank you for coming," he said, gesturing to one of the chairs. "Please sit down." Emma perched on the edge of the chair, clutching her notepad like a shield. "Sir, I think there might be some confusion. I'm just a junior coordinator." Ryan sat down across from her, and his blue-gray eyes studied her with an intensity that made her want to look away. "There's no confusion. I spent last night reviewing personnel files and project reports. Your name kept appearing in places it shouldn't." Emma's heart hammered. "I don't understand." "It's a Peterson campaign that saved a major account." "Your analysis. The demographic research that predicted the shift in consumer behavior 6 months before it happened. Your work. The streamlined reporting system that improved efficiency by 30%. Your design." Ryan leaned forward slightly. "All of this brilliant work attributed to other people or buried in team reports, but when I dug deeper, your name was on the original documents." Emma could not speak. Nobody had ever looked that closely before. Nobody had ever cared to trace the work back to its source. "So my question is," Ryan continued, his voice gentle but persistent, "why is someone with your talent and education hiding in a back corner, letting others take credit for your work?" The question hung in the air between them. Emma's carefully constructed walls trembled. This man had seen her, really seen her, in less than 24 hours. It was everything she had spent 8 years trying to prevent. "I prefer to work quietly," she finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan studied her for a long moment, and Emma had the unsettling feeling that he saw far more than she wanted him to. "I think there's more to it than that," he said softly. "But I won't push." "Not yet." He stood and walked to the window, hands in his pockets, looking out over Seattle's skyline. "I'm rebuilding the entire marketing division. I need a creative director who understands both strategy and execution, someone who can see patterns others miss. I'd like you to take that position." Emma felt the room tilt slightly. Creative director. The position would put her at the center of everything, visible to everyone. It was the opposite of everything she had carefully constructed over 8 years. "I can't," she said, standing abruptly. "I'm not qualified for that position. There are senior people with more experience." "With less skill," Ryan countered, turning from the window. "I've reviewed everyone's work, Emma. You're the best this company has, and it's not even close." He moved back to his chair but remained standing, giving her space. "Is it the salary? Because I'm prepared to offer you 200,000 plus bonuses. It's not about money." The words came out sharper than Emma intended. She took a breath, forcing herself back into her careful shell. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Mitchell, but I'm happy where I am. I don't want attention or recognition. I just want to do my work." Something shifted in Ryan's expression. Not disappointment, but understanding mixed with curiosity. "You're afraid of being seen." It wasn't a question. Emma's hands tightened on her notepad. "I should get back to my desk." "Wait," Ryan's voice was gentle but firm. "I won't force you to take the position. But I'd like to understand why someone with your talent actively avoids success." Emma stood frozen, caught between the impulse to flee and something else. Something that had been dormant for 8 years. The way Ryan looked at her was different from how everyone else did. He wasn't looking through her or past her. He was looking at her, seeing her, and instead of judgment, there was genuine concern in his eyes. People notice beautiful, successful women, Emma heard herself say. They notice them, and then they destroy them. Ryan was quiet for a moment. Someone hurt you badly? Emma's throat tightened. She nodded once, not trusting her voice. I understand more than you might think, Ryan said, moving to lean against the edge of the desk, keeping distance between them. When I was building my first company, I had a partner. His name was David. We were friends since college, started the business together in my garage. When we got our first major investor, David told them the entire concept was his idea, that I was just the technical support. They believed him. Emma looked up, surprise. He pushed me out of my own company with legal maneuvers I couldn't afford to fight, Ryan continued. Took everything we'd built. I was 25, broke, and felt like the biggest fool in the world for trusting someone. His blue-gray eyes met hers. I could have given up, could have hidden from the business world. Instead, I started over. Built something bigger, better, and made sure I was never that vulnerable again. That's different, Emma said quietly. You fought back. You won. Only on the outside, Ryan replied. For years, I didn't trust anyone. Didn't let anyone get close. I built walls just like you did, Emma. Just different kinds of walls. He paused. But walls don't just keep people out. They keep you trapped inside. The words hit Emma harder than she expected. She had spent 8 years telling herself she was safe, protected. But Ryan was right. She wasn't free. She was imprisoned by her own fear. Position stays open for 3 weeks, Ryan said, his tone shifting back to professional. Think about it. Talk to Linda if you need references for what the job would entail. And Emma. He waited until she met his eyes. Regardless of your decision, I want you to know that your work has been seen and valued. Maybe not by everyone, but by me. Emma left the conference room feeling unsteady, like the ground beneath her feet had shifted. She went through the motions for the rest of the day. But her mind kept circling back to Ryan's words and the way he had looked at her. Not with pity, but with respect. With recognition, over the next 2 weeks, Emma couldn't escape Ryan Mitchell. He seemed to be everywhere in the building. She would arrive at 7 in the morning to find him already in the break room, making coffee and chatting with the janitorial staff. She would stay late working on a project and see him still at his desk at 8 in the evening. Shirt sleeves rolled up, completely absorbed in spreadsheets, and he kept finding reasons to talk to her. Emma, do you have a moment? He would appear at her cubicle with questions about campaigns, always respectful, always genuinely interested in her insights. She would answer in her carefully neutral voice, but she couldn't help noticing things about him. The way he listened completely, never interrupting. The way he remembered small details from previous conversations. The way his eyes crinkled slightly when he smiled. Which was more often than she expected from a billionaire CEO. He brought her coffee once. Appearing at her desk with 2 cups from the expensive cafe down the street. You take it black, right? I noticed you never used the cream or sugar in the break room. Emma had stared at the cup, stunned that he had paid attention to something so small. Thank you, she had managed. You're welcome, he had smiled and walked away, leaving her holding the cup like it was something precious. Jessica. Park noticed the attention and made sure to comment loudly within Emma's hearing. I wonder what she did to get the CEO so interested. Certainly not her fashion sense. But Emma found that Jessica's barbs hurt less than they used to. Something was changing inside her. A tiny crack in the walls she had built so carefully. One evening, Emma was working late on a competitive analysis when Ryan appeared at her cubicle. Still here? It's almost 9. Emma glanced at the clock, surprised. I wanted to finish this analysis. May I see? She hesitated, then turned her monitor so he could view her work. Ryan leaned in, studying the charts and data. He smelled like coffee and something else, something clean and masculine that made Emma's pulse quicken despite herself. This is exceptional, Ryan said after a few minutes. You've identified market patterns I haven't seen in any other analysis. How did you catch this correlation? Emma felt heat rise in her cheeks. Praise was something she had trained herself not to need, but hearing it from Ryan felt different. I cross-referenced consumer behavior data with economic indicators from the past 15 years. Most people only look at 5-year patterns, but I think the longer view shows more accurate trends. Ryan straightened, looking at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. You're brilliant. You know that, right? Emma's hands trembled slightly. I just like working with data. It's more than that. Ryan pulled over a chair from an empty cubicle and sat down, making himself eye level with her. Emma, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've worked with analysts from MIT, Harvard, Stanford. You're better than all of them, and you're hiding it in a back corner cubicle. I told you why. You told me someone hurt you. You didn't tell me you were going to let that person control the rest of your life. The words stung because they were true. Emma looked away, her vision blurring slightly. Sorry, Ryan said immediately. That was too harsh. No. Emma's voice was barely above a whisper. You're right. I have been letting him control my life. Ryan waited, giving her space to continue or not. After a long moment, Emma found herself talking, really talking, for the first time in 8 years. His name was Trevor Ashford. His family owns Ashford Media Group. We were engaged. The words came haltingly at first, then faster. His business partner wanted me. I said no. 2 days later, there were photos online, fake photos, showing me with that man. Trevor believed them instantly. His family threatened to destroy me completely if I fought the narrative. I lost everything. My job, my reputation, my own family's respect. She looked down at her hands, now trembling openly. So I came here. I changed my name from Emma Hayes to Emma Collins. I made myself invisible because invisible is safe. Invisible can't be targeted, Emma. Ryan's voice was soft. She looked up to find his blue-gray eyes filled with anger, but not at her. That should never have happened to you. None of it was your fault. I know that intellectually, Emma said. But emotionally, I'm still the woman who got destroyed for being noticed. Ryan was quiet for a moment, then stood. Come with me. Where? Just trust me, please. Against her better judgment, Emma followed him. They took the elevator down to the parking garage, where Ryan led her to a sleek black car. He opened the passenger door for her, and Emma hesitated only a moment before getting in. They drove through Seattle in comfortable silence. Ryan didn't push her to talk, didn't demand explanations. After 20 minutes, he pulled into a parking lot near the waterfront. The city lights reflected off the dark water, creating a shimmering mirror. When David stole my company, Ryan said, staring out at the water, I spent 6 months barely functioning. I was angry, bitter, convinced the world was full of people waiting to betray me. He turned to look at her. My sister finally sat me down and said something I've never forgotten. She said, you can let this define you, or you can let it refine you. But you can't do both. Emma felt tears prick her eyes. How did you choose? Honestly, it took time. I started small, built a new company. But this time, I was smarter, more careful. I learned to trust my instincts about people. And slowly, I realized that David hadn't taken everything. He'd taken a company, but I still had my skills, my vision, my determination. Those were mine, and nobody could steal them. He shifted in his seat to face her fully. Your talent is yours, Emma. Your intelligence, your creativity, your ability to see patterns others miss. Trevor Ashford and his family took a lot from you, but they didn't take that. You're the one who's been hiding it. Emma wiped at her eyes, embarrassed by the tears. I don't know how to be any other way anymore. Then start small, Ryan said gently. You don't have to transform overnight. Just take one small step. Have coffee with Linda instead of eating lunch alone at your desk. Wear a sweater that actually fits. Contribute an idea in a meeting. Paused. Or accept a promotion you've more than earned. Emma laughed, a shaky sound. You don't give up, do you? Not on things that matter. The intensity in his voice made Emma's breath catch. And you matter, Emma. Your work matters. You deserve to be seen and recognized for who you really are. They sat in the car overlooking the water for another hour, talking about everything and nothing. Ryan told her about growing up in a small town in Oregon, working 3 jobs to put himself through college. Emma found herself sharing memories from before Trevor, stories about her childhood in Vermont, her love of painting that she had given up years ago. When Ryan finally drove her back to the office to get her car, Emma felt lighter than she had in years. As she unlocked her door, Ryan stopped her with a gentle hand on her arm. "Think about the position," he said. "But more than that, think about what you want your life to look like 5 years from now. Do you want to still be hiding, or do you want to be living?" Emma drove home with his question echoing in her mind. That night, she did something she hadn't done in 8 years. She stood in front of her bathroom mirror and removed her glasses. She let her hair down from its severe bun, watching it fall in honey blonde waves past her shoulders. She looked at her reflection, really looked, and saw hints of the woman she used to be. Maybe, just maybe, she could find her way back. The envelope on Emma's desk was cream-colored and elegant. She opened it slowly, already knowing what it would say. The annual company gala was in 2 weeks, now rebranded as a celebration of the new ownership. Attendance was mandatory for all employees. Black tie event at the Four Seasons Hotel. Emma's hands trembled as she read the details. A gala meant dresses, makeup, photographs. It meant being visible in a way she had avoided for 8 years. Her first instinct was to find an excuse, any excuse, to avoid attending. But then she thought of Ryan's question. What did she want her life to look like 5 years from now? That afternoon, Emma did something radical. She left work early and went to a boutique in downtown Seattle. The sales associate looked surprised when Emma walked in. She was clearly not used to customers in oversized cardigans and baggy pants. "I need a dress," Emma said, her voice firmer than she felt. "For a formal event?" The associate's professional smile brightened. "Of course. What style were you thinking?" Emma looked around at the elegant dresses, feeling overwhelmed. "I don't know. Something that doesn't make me disappear." Something in her tone must have resonated because the associate's smile became genuine. "I have the perfect thing. Trust me." An hour later, Emma left the boutique with a dress she never would have chosen 8 years ago. It was midnight blue, elegant and sophisticated, without being revealing. Simple enough to feel comfortable, beautiful enough to be memorable. She also had appointments scheduled for hair and makeup the day of the gala. Walking back to her car, Emma called Ryan's office. His assistant put her through immediately. "Kama." Ryan's voice was warm. "Is everything okay?" "I'll take the position," Emma said, before she could lose her nerve. "Creative director. I'll take it." There was a pause. Then Ryan's voice came through, filled with unmistakable pleasure. "I'm glad. Really glad. When can you start?" "After the gala? I'd like to finish up my current projects first." "Perfect, Emma." He paused. "This is the right decision. I know it's scary, but you're ready." "I hope so," Emma said honestly. "I know so." The 2 weeks before the gala passed in a blur. Emma began the transition to her new role, meeting with the marketing team she would soon lead. She wore sweaters that fit properly. She left her hair down occasionally. Small steps, but each one felt monumental. Jessica Park's hostility increased in direct proportion to Emma's emergence. "Sleeping your way to the top is a classic move," Jessica said loudly in the break room one morning. "Though I have to say, the makeover's a bit obvious." Linda, standing nearby, turned sharply. "That's completely inappropriate, Jessica." Emma earned her promotion through 8 years of exceptional work. Emma felt a rush of gratitude for Linda's defense, but she also found her own voice. "Thank you, Linda." She looked directly at Jessica. "And for your information, Jessica, my work speaks for itself." Mr. Mitchell reviewed everyone's performance data before making his decision. "Perhaps you should focus on improving your own work instead of commenting on mine." Jessica's face flushed red, but she said nothing. Emma walked away feeling stronger than she had in years. The night of the gala arrived with terrifying speed. Emma stood in her apartment, staring at her reflection with a mixture of wonder and fear. The stylist had enhanced her natural honey blonde hair, giving it soft waves that framed her face. The makeup artist had brought out her green eyes and created a look that was polished without being overdone. The midnight blue dress fit perfectly, elegant and sophisticated. She looked like herself again. The real herself. Emma's phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. "Car service is waiting downstairs. No pressure, but I really hope to see you tonight." Emma took a deep breath, grabbed her clutch, and left the apartment before fear could paralyze her. The Four Seasons Hotel glittered with lights and elegance. Emma stepped out of the car, and for a moment, panic threatened to overwhelm her. There were people everywhere, cameras flashing for the corporate photographers documenting the event. 8 years of instinct screamed at her to run, to hide, to protect herself. But then she saw Ryan standing near the entrance, clearly watching for her. When their eyes met across the crowd, his face transformed. He moved through the gathering with purpose, reaching her in seconds. "Emma," he breathed, and the way he said her name made her feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. "You look absolutely stunning." Emma felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I'm terrified, I know." Ryan offered his arm. "But you're not alone. Stay with me tonight. I'll make sure you're safe." Emma hesitated only a moment before taking his arm. They walked into the ballroom together, and Emma felt eyes turn toward them. But instead of the malicious attention she remembered from New York, these looks were curious, friendly, impressed. The ballroom was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers, elegant decorations, hundreds of people in formal attire. Ryan guided her through the crowd, making introductions, his hands steady on her back. People congratulated her on the promotion. Several asked intelligent questions about her marketing strategies. Nobody gossiped or sneered. "See?" Ryan murmured as they found their table. "The world hasn't ended." "Not yet," Emma replied, but she was smiling. Dinner was served, speeches were made. Ryan spoke about the company's future with passion and vision, thanking the employees who made everything possible. He mentioned the marketing team's excellent work without singling Emma out, kindness she appreciated. As dessert arrived, Emma excused herself to the restroom. She needed a moment to process the evening, to absorb the fact that she was being seen, being present, and nothing terrible was happening. She was checking her appearance in the mirror when a familiar voice spoke behind her.
"Hello."
"Emma Hayes. I wondered if that was really you." Emma's blood turned to ice. She turned slowly to find a woman in a red dress, perfectly styled blonde hair. Recognition hit like a physical blow. Vanessa Ashford, Trevor's cousin, who had been particularly vicious during the scandal. "I'm surprised you'd show your face at an event like this," Vanessa said, her smile sharp, "though I suppose you've learned to clean up nicely. New billionaire boss? New look. Some patterns never change, do they?" The implication was clear and cruel. Emma felt the old shame rising, the instinct to apologize, to flee. But then she thought of Ryan's words, of the past 2 weeks, of the woman she used to be and the woman she was becoming. "You know what, Vanessa?" Emma said, her voice steady and clear. "I spent 8 years believing I deserved what happened to me. 8 years thinking I had to hide because I'd done something wrong, but I didn't. Your cousin and his friend destroyed my reputation with lies, and people like you helped them do it because it was entertaining." Vanessa's smile faltered. "I earned my position at this company through 8 years of excellent work," Emma continued. "Mr. Mitchell promoted me because I'm exceptional at what I do, not because of how I look. And if you have a problem with that, I suggest you leave before I have security escort you out." She turned to walk away, but Vanessa's voice stopped her. "Trevor's here, you know. He's been looking for you all night. He wants to talk to you." Emma's heart hammered, but she kept her voice level. "Then he can talk to Mr. Mitchell's legal team. I have nothing to say to him." She walked out of the restroom with her head high, her steps steady. In the corridor, she nearly collided with someone tall, blonde, painfully familiar. Trevor Ashford stood before her, older now, his golden looks slightly faded by time and excess. "Emma, I need to talk to you." "No," the word came out firm and final. "Please, just 5 minutes. I need to explain." "There's nothing to explain. You chose to believe lies about me without even asking for my side. You let your family's lawyers threaten and intimidate me. You threw me away like I meant nothing. Emma's voice didn't waver. I don't care why you're here or what you want. You have no place in my life anymore. I made a mistake, Trevor said desperately. I found out the truth about Richard, about the photos. I've regretted it every day for 8 years. When I saw your name in the business news, I thought, maybe we could talk. Maybe you'd understand. Understand what? That you're sorry? Emma shook her head. I spent 8 years rebuilding my life from nothing. I'm not going backward for anyone, especially not for you. She started to walk past him, but his hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. Emma, please, let her go. Ryan's voice was quiet, but carried unmistakable authority. He stood a few feet away, his expression dangerous in a way Emma had never seen. The easygoing billionaire was gone, replaced by someone capable of destroying careers with a phone call. Trevor dropped Emma's wrist immediately. This is a private conversation. It's over, Ryan said, moving to stand beside Emma. His presence was protective without being possessive. And if you touch her again, I'll have security escort you out. Actually, I'll have them escort you out anyway. You weren't invited to this event. I came with the Ashford Media Group delegation, Trevor said, his face flushing with anger. Who will be informed that their guest violated company policy by harassing an employee. Ryan's gaze was ice cold. You have 30 seconds to leave before I call security and make this very public. Trevor looked between them, his expression shifting from anger to humiliation to something uglier. I see. Moved on quickly, didn't you, Emma? 8 years pretending to be invisible, but the moment a billionaire shows interest, everything changes. Ryan stepped forward, and something in his posture made Trevor step back. You lost the right to speak about Emma the moment you chose to believe lies instead of trusting her. Now leave. You have 15 seconds. Trevor left, his shoulders tight with fury. Emma stood frozen, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Are you all right? Ryan asked, his voice gentle again as he turned to her. Emma nodded, then shook her head, then felt tears spill over. I just stood up to him. After 8 years, I finally stood up to him. You did, Ryan said softly. You were incredible. He pulled her into his arms, and Emma let herself lean into his strength. They stood in the quiet corridor, away from the party, and Emma felt something break inside her. Not in a painful way, but like a dam releasing pressure it had held too long. I'm not hiding anymore, she whispered against his shoulder. I can't. I don't want to. Ryan pulled back just enough to look at her, his blue-gray eyes intense. Good, because I've been wanting to say something for weeks now, and I couldn't say it while you were still hiding. Emma's breath caught. What? That first day when I saw you in the meeting, I noticed you immediately. Not because of how you looked, but because of how you held yourself. Like you were trying to disappear but couldn't quite manage it. There was something about you that drew me in. He cupped her face gently. The more I got to know you, the more I realized you're the most remarkable woman I've ever met. Brilliant, kind, resilient. You survived something that would have broken most people, and you came out the other side with your integrity intact. Ryan, Emma breathed. I'm falling for you, Emma Collins, Ryan said simply. I've been falling for you since that first conversation in the conference room. I just needed you to see yourself the way I see you first. Emma felt tears stream down her face, but these were different tears. Tears of relief, of hope, of something that felt dangerously like joy. I'm scared, she admitted. Of being seen, of being vulnerable again. I know. Ryan wiped her tears gently with his thumbs. But I'm not, Trevor. I'm not going to believe lies about you. I'm not going to let anyone hurt you. I'll spend every day proving that you can trust me if you'll let me. Emma looked into his eyes and saw nothing but honesty and care. She thought about the past 8 years, about hiding in fear and loneliness. Then she thought about the past 2 weeks, about small steps and growing courage and the feeling of finally coming back to life. Kiss me, she whispered. Ryan smiled. A brilliant expression that transformed his entire face. He lowered his lips to hers slowly, giving her time to change her mind. But Emma didn't want to change her mind. She wanted this, wanted him, wanted to finally live again. The kiss was gentle at first, then deeper. filled with weeks of growing connection, and understood pain and hope for the future. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless. "I'm falling for you too," Emma said. "I think I have been since you first saw past my disguise." Ryan laughed, pulling her close again. "Should we go back to the party?" Emma looked toward the ballroom, hearing music and laughter. For 8 years she would have said no. She would have fled to her apartment, to safety, to invisibility. But tonight, she smiled up at Ryan and said, "Yes, let's go back. Together." They walked into the ballroom hand in hand. People noticed, of course. Tomorrow there would be office gossip about the new creative director and the billionaire CEO, but Emma found that she didn't care. Let them talk. Let them see her. She had spent 8 years in the shadows, and she was done hiding Jessica Parks. The expression of shock was particularly satisfying. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of dancing, conversation, and stolen glances with Ryan. Emma laughed freely for the first time in years. She contributed to discussions about marketing strategies. She accepted congratulations on her promotion with genuine smiles. As the gala wound down, Ryan walked Emma to her car. "Have dinner with me tomorrow night?" he asked. "Somewhere nice? Just the two of us." "I'd love that," Emma said. Ryan kissed her again, soft and sweet under the Seattle stars. "I meant what I said earlier. I'm going to prove to you every day that you can trust me." "I believe you," Emma said, and realized she meant it. She drove home that night with her windows down, letting the cool air blow through her hair. When she got to her apartment, she looked in the mirror and saw herself, truly herself. For the first time in 8 years, Emma Collins was done hiding. Emma Hayes was coming back to life. And this time, she was strong enough, brave enough, and supported enough to face whatever came next. The Invisible Woman had finally let herself be seen. And the world hadn't ended. Instead, it had opened up with possibilities she'd never imagined. With Ryan by her side and her own courage finally rekindled, Emma was ready to embrace the future she deserved.